9 signs of an attractive fixer-upper. Hi, I'm Jonathan Otero. I'm the owner of J&J Management Group, and We Buy Houses Seminole. And I'm going to talk to you today because I've gotten some feedback from some people that wanted to know, hey, I'm trying to get into real estate and I want to know what to look for. Can you give me some tips on what you look for when you're purchasing a home or a rehab project or what we call a fixer-upper? So I'm going to talk to you today about the 9 things that I look for when I'm looking at a property or evaluating a property to see if I'm going to take it over, close on it, and flip it up to sell it for a profit. So let's go right into it. Let's talk about the first one. The first one here is you want to look for a house that is located in a desirable neighborhood so it has good schools. You definitely want to target that. That's not to say that you cannot flip a house in an area that has bad schools, but generally speaking, if you want to start your search, especially if you're just new getting started and you don't want to have too much headaches, you want to make sure that the neighborhood is good. And the way you do that is by checking the schools. And if it's in a desirable location where a lot of families want to be at with young children or children in general, and they want to put their kids in a good school system, that's a pretty good start. You want to target some of those neighborhoods. When I got started in real estate, I only wanted to do it in the best neighborhoods, and I wanted to find houses that were in those general areas that I can fix up and sell fast because I knew a lot of families would want to get in there. And so that brings me to number 2. You want to target ugly houses in those desirable neighborhoods. So you want to get the ugly duckling. Ugly houses. So ideally speaking, you're trying to look for the ugliest house, the ugly duckling, in a good desirable neighborhood that has good schools. That's ideally speaking, that's what you want to target. A house that's considered the ugly duckling of the neighborhood. Ideally speaking, you want to find a house that is in a great neighborhood, and you want to find that one eyesore, that one house that sticks out like a sore thumb, that one house that just looks like it doesn't belong there. That's the one you want because that's probably going to be the cheapest house that you can get. You want to make sure that you lock that up as soon as possible. So you're looking for the ugly duckling in the neighborhood that's in one of the best school systems. Another key critical to being an attractive fixer-upper is that the house is vacant. Again, that does not mean necessarily that you cannot buy it. It's not attractive if someone's living there currently. It just makes it a lot harder for you to flip a house when somebody's in there, especially because you got to wait for them to get out of the house. You got to wait for them to find a new place to move to. And it's a whole thing. You can't really evaluate that because once you do your final walkthrough, maybe something happens. They punch holes in the walls. They break a window while they're moving their furniture. And that adds money to your bottom line. So generally speaking, that's pretty hard to do. So ideally, something that's more attractive would be a house that's vacant. Target a house that's vacant because that way you don't have to worry about having to have anyone move out or anything like that. The house is already open for you. You can get in there any single time you want. And you can, as soon as you close, you can just get right in there the very next day and start doing your rehab work, start doing your demolition, whatever you have to do at that point. So you want to target a house that's vacant, and that's critical. The next thing that you want to target is a landlord who is what we call an absentee landlord or an absentee owner, someone that lives out of state. So you're looking for an out-of-state owner. Why do you want to target an out-of-state owner? Well, if the owner's not here, they're probably more motivated to want to sell the house to you. They probably just want to get this house off their hands. That's critical because they're not here to see the property. They don't know what the property condition is. And every day that passes is another day getting closer to either a next mortgage payment, a next tax bill, or you're potentially leaving yourself at risk. Once people know that the house is vacant, maybe break-ins, squatters get in there eventually, and people don't want to have to deal with that mess because every single day that passes, there's a potential for the value of the house to go more and more down. So you want to look for people that are absentee owners or absentee landlords that are out of state of whatever state you're in. I'm here in Orlando, Florida, so I try to look for people that own houses that are here, but they live in Boston, they live all across the country, New York, California, wherever else, Texas, Tennessee, because I know those people are going to be super motivated to sell and I'm probably going to get a better deal. So you want to target those type of owners right off the bat. Another step is probate. What do I mean by probate? Obviously, you know, when someone inherits a house. Let's say the house is owned by the mother and the father, and the last parent passes away, and now the siblings inherit that house. Let's say those siblings are living in another state, or they're living in the same state, but they have their own mortgage, they have their own issues that they have to deal with, and now you're telling them that they have to take on this other house that potentially has a mortgage as well, or they have tax bills, or they have to maintain the property. Those type of things could be very, very overwhelming for someone that inherits a property that they didn't really want to begin with. So you want to definitely look for houses that are potentially just getting out of probate. And the ways you do that, there's a list online that you can go to. There's certain lists that you can, it's public record when a house is now going into a probate, and you can just do a search for that in your local area, and you'd be able to find some of those, and then maybe you can find who the owner of record is and mail them a letter, or see if there's a number that you can find and give them a call and try to find a way to get in contact with them. It's all public record anyway. You can check once the probate process goes through. You can check your county public records. I know here in Orange County in Orlando, Florida, you can just go to the Orange County Property Appraiser's website, and it'll tell you who's the person of record on that house, and it'll list all the names of the people who have ownership in the property. And you can find, they usually have an address that you can mail to. Reach out to them and try to find, those are super motivated sellers as well, and that makes for an attractive fixer-upper, because again, just like with out-of-state owners, you can definitely get the house for a good price. So that's critical as well. Divorce. Now I know that sounds kind of rude, but it's true. It's an advantage as an investor. If you find a couple that is in the process of getting a divorce and wants to sell their property, sometimes they don't. I've seen situations where the husband and the wife don't want to even speak to each other, and as an investor, I kind of have to play the middleman or the mediator, because they're not even allowed to talk to each other. They don't even want to talk to each other. They're not in a good position. They just really want to get this house off their neck. They don't want to be in there another minute because it gives them bad memories. All these different nightmare stories you hear when people get divorced. But that is a good opportunity for you as the investor, just like going through probate or having an out-of-state owner. A divorce could be a potential for you to look for an attractive property that you can fix up. Because again, same thing like always, we keep on going back to it. They're motivated, and you could probably get it for a good deal. So that's another critical thing that you want to look at as well. Another thing that is an attractive fixer-upper to me when I'm working is the work that needs to be done, especially when I was getting started. The work that needs to be done is something that I can do myself. So I would call this one work you can do on your own. Work on your own. And what do I mean by that is, when I was first getting started, before I knew anything about real estate and before I knew anything about flipping houses, I didn't want to get into projects that were overwhelming. I didn't want to start doing what you see on those flipping TV shows that we see on all the time on TV, where these guys are knocking down walls and knocking down kitchens, and they're taking a sledgehammer. I didn't want to get into that because I was nervous. I remember doing work in my own house, and I just wanted to take down the tiles and put new tiles. And the minute I took down the tiles it was in my bathroom, I'll never forget it. We took down the tiles, and the person who owned the house before me, when they put up the sheetrock in the bathtub, they didn't put that green sheetrock. I don't even know what it's called, but it's a special type of sheetrock that holds the moisture, or takes the moisture away, and it's like a green color. They just put the regular sheetrock inside the bathtub. So when we pulled down the tiles were on there nice and tight, but when we pulled them out, we found mold. It was a huge problem, and I had just had my first daughter, and she was a young girl, and I was thinking, my God, I can't just put new tiles on top of this, knowing that she's breathing that in. So what did we have to do? We had to rip out all the sheetrock, which we thought we didn't have to have that expense, lay new sheetrock, and it was a whole bigger project than we anticipated because we knocked down tiles. We thought that was going to be simple. It's always something. You never know what's behind those walls. So when you're getting into a rehab, you want to make sure that the work you can do on the house is work that you can do on your own. You don't want to have to worry about getting contractors in and getting bids in there. You want to make sure that it's something simple. Cosmetic is what we call it. That's a term that we throw out a lot, cosmetic work. Something that is, very, very easy for you to do. If you're handy, if you're in construction, or if you just have general knowledge of how to lay tiles and how to put down floors or how to paint and things like that. Cosmetic work is critical, and you have to be realistic about what you can do. Again, I did not want to get into a house that I thought was going to be, you know, a challenge for me, because I didn't know how to evaluate property in the very beginning. We're going to talk about, in another video, we'll talk about how to evaluate property better and how to determine how much it's going to cost you for a rehab. But for right now, when you're looking and you're just getting started, you just want to find a house, just like we typically say, I'll say it in quotations, cosmetic. Cosmetic paint, carpet, maybe some floors if you want to get into that. But if it's those floors, it's not going to be a super duper nice tile or something where you're going to do a fancy schmancy design. You want to have those tiles that, you know, usually you probably find these at a Home Depot and Lowe's. If you're just using those kind of peel and stick floors where you see them at Home Depot and Lowe's, you peel them off and they have a stick on the back, and you can kind of lay those floors. So if you make a mistake, you can pop it back up and lay it back down. Something that you want to do on your own. Make sure that that is something that's critical. Be realistic about that, because you can make a big mistake if you go into a property thinking, yeah, you know what? I think I can rip out that wall over there and change the floor plan around and make this a nice open concept. And this is going to look beautiful when buyers walk in. They're going to see the open kitchen going into the living room. Yeah, guess what happens? You knock down that wall and you start breaking that wall and taking off the sheetrock, and you find out there's electrical wires that are going through that wall. And now you just hit an electrical wire and you have to get an electrician in there to rewire the whole thing. Oops. Oh, guess what? While you were hitting your hammer, you hit into there was a plumbing pipe in the back of that wall that you didn't realize was there. And now you have water damage. Big problems that cost a lot of money. And then not only that, then once you start knocking down walls and you realize that there's plumbing issues or electrical issues that needs to be redone, then you have to get permits for that stuff. And that can take forever to pull a permit from your county. Could take 2 or 3 months, maybe even more. And then you have to get it inspected before you can even move to the next step. It's a big, huge problem. All because you wanted to have that pretty floor plan where it was open flow. Don't do that. Do not do that. Try to keep it simple. This is the KISS method. When you're rehabbing a house, the KISS method. Keep it simple. You know what else is the rest. Keep it simple, okay? Work on your house, work on your home that you can do yourself. Anything that's needed that you can do it yourself. The next thing that you want to do that makes an attractive fixer-upper is you want to check the county records and the documents on the property. You want to see if, even before you start pulling title or you get the house on the contract, you want to see if you can go online, check the public records, and see if you can find any potential liens on the property besides if there's a mortgage or something like that, because you never know, right? You get into a property and you don't know what you don't know, and sometimes the owner of the property doesn't know what they don't know. You don't know if they went to do a paint job on the house and they never paid the painter, and now he put a lien on the property. You don't know if because that owner is absentee out of state and now they're not keeping up with the landscaping, and someone over here in Florida, we have HOAs, homeowners associations, and somebody from the HOA board calls the county and says, hey, the grass is overgrown here, and now the code enforcement comes on and slaps a lien on the property because of a code enforcement violation. You don't know, right? So all these things you have to take into consideration. You want to make sure who's the owner of record on the property. You want to start checking the documents on that property to make sure that there's nothing unusual with that property. And these are all public records. You can go to wherever your local county, you can go to the tax assessor's website in your local area. You can go to the deed recorder's office. There's many different ways that you can check. Like I said, over here in Orange County in Orlando, Florida, we have the tax collector's office. We have the property appraiser's office. You can do a search for those things in your area, and you can find out and check those documents and just do a free search online for public records to see if there's anything unusual with that property that you need to know about before you get into it, before you even start pulling title. And the next thing is, the final thing in finding an attractive fixer-upper is you want to be able to know if you can have bathrooms that are roomy. bathrooms that are roomy. Bathrooms, and I'm also going to throw in kitchens as well, because you know how they always say kitchens and baths are what sell. If you can find a property that has nice sized bathrooms where people can walk in, where they're not like opening the door and then they're having to do one of these to get to the toilet, and those are not good. Buyers see that and they get turned off right away. And kitchens are the same thing. If you have one of those little small kitchens, the house could be nice and big, but you have one of those little tiny kitchens and they don't have a lot of cabinet space, that could be a big problem. And then what happens is you have to redesign it. And when you redesign it, it could cost a lot of money. Again, you may have to knock down walls and then you have those problems. So ideally speaking, when you walk into a property, you want to check the kitchens and the bathrooms. Make sure they're nice and roomy and they have enough room that if you were to live there, would you be comfortable putting your family in there? Just kind of think about that when you go in. So definitely these are the 9 signs of an attractive fixer-upper that I look for when I'm looking at a property and when I'm kind of evaluating. Everybody may have a little bit of spin on these things, but this is kind of what I go through and a checklist of what I go through when I'm evaluating and walking through a property to see if it's the right fit for me. But especially when I was first getting started. The more that you get into this and the more that you learn, the easier it's going to be for you to maybe say, you know what, maybe this bathroom or maybe this kitchen is small today, but I probably could redesign it. And I've gotten this house at a really good price that if I make a mistake and I messed up on my evaluations and I have to spend a little bit more money to fix it up, it's okay. So that's the case. I mean, these are the steps that I take. These are some of the hints that maybe could help you out when you're evaluating, when you're just getting started. It's critical to make sure you have a kind of a checklist of when you're going through the property so you don't forget things. And this is what helped me out when I was getting started. Hopefully it helps you out too. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions, please give us a call. 407-796-8557. That's 407-796-8557. Or check us out on our website, webuyhousesseminole.org. Give us a call. Take a look at the website. Hopefully it gives you some more information. And hopefully this video helped you out. Please write a comment below. Thank you guys for taking a look at it. And see you guys on the next one. A lot of times when you're, start again. It's you. So you want to find a house. What is wrong with me? Can't do it. Okay. Check it out. All right. Ugly duckling. So you want to find a house. Man, I'm getting a phone call. So, all right. Where was I? So, yeah, work you can do on your own house. Work you can do on your own. So you want to make, because I've already done a little bit more homework and I've gotten my price right. What do I want to say here? All right, let's go. All right. So you want to make sure that at 407. Oh yeah. Maronami. Maronami. Hopefully this video helped you out. If you have any questions, you can give us a call. The number is 4. Hopefully this video helped you out. If you have any questions, you can give us a call. 407-796-8557. The website is We Buy Houses. What am I doing? 796. Hopefully this video helped you out. If you have any questions, give our office a call.